All right, happy Tuesday night, guys. We are here, and I'm not late, so maybe a couple of seconds, but we'll be okay. So let's see what we got going on, and make sure you guys can see me and hear me, and we'll get that part started here real quick. Okay, I can see me on mute, so turn the lights off. So we got Twin Lights, Simple, Kimberly, Prep Rebel, Howard. Here's some 5x5s, American Girl, Adam, Susan, David, John, Joseph, Pennsylvania Mama Bear, Undercover. Okay, cool. You guys can see. All right. Happy Tuesday night, guys. Uh, as I pinned up top, I'll explain this real quick. Thought I was going to be late, and I noticed somebody said it in here too. Rudy, Alaska Prepper, posted a video about a half an hour ago, and that's what I was doing, was watching to see what was going on. Because like everybody else, I him as well. If y'all want to leave here and go watch Rudy's video now, I totally get it. Okay. Uh, Rudy's part of the family. And, we certainly want to be by his side. Let's put it that way. I'm not going to go into what he talked about. That's his stories to tell. I will let him do it. But Rudy is back. Uh, we'll see how he goes through like that. But for people that were worrying the worst, fortunately, no. So if you guys want to go take a look at it, great. You're not going to hurt my feelings if you leave. Okay. There are some things in life that are more important, and checking on friends, if you will, is certainly one of them. So, take care of that. All right. I wanted to start there. Uh, it's Tuesday. It's we're still in the middle of the shutdown. It doesn't look like this is going to end anytime soon. And frankly, I don't know about anybody else, but I don't care. It doesn't do it doesn't affect my life at all. Okay. Now, usually there's people it does. Right. And if you're a government employee and you're on furlough, okay, sure, it affects you. Uh, my only concern at this point is that the military gets paid. Uh, don't tell me, oh, gee, highway projects aren't getting fixed like they did anything. They're not doing anything there anyway. So what's the difference? But yeah, so we keep going on that. I'm going to throw this out to you guys. Y'all probably, just like me, been paying attention to what's going on in Portland, what's going on in Chicago. I told you about the Nick Sortor story the other day. They released him this morning, decided not to file charges against him. There was a shot. Here's somebody reporting on crime, and you arrest the reporter and not the criminal. And so he is suing the Portland Police Department. Good. J.B. Pritzker and Brandon Johnson, governor and mayor in Illinois, governor and mayor of Chicago. Of course, they're still raising 9 cans of cane about Trump calling in the National Guard, the Texas National Guard, who's showing up this afternoon. You can tell Pritzker's posturing for a presidential run. Uh, that's kind of interesting. You can tell Gavin Newsom's posturing for a presidential run because I guess with his whole redistricting thing, he got sued over it, right? Because it's against California's Constitution. And of course, the good old liberal courts in California decided to schedule for the court date after the election date, after everybody's going to vote on this. So that's being chased down. But you can tell they are trying to position themselves to be the presidential candidate, whoever's going to lose, either JD Vance or Ron DeSantis. People say Marco Rubio or what that ain't happening. Uh, but it's just getting kind of interesting, especially with Portland, especially the lies that are coming out. Oh, you can't send in the U.S. troops. Okay. There's a little thing called the Insurrection Act. And contrary to what the Democrat leaders would like to tell you, it's been used about 30 times already. You know, riots in Los Angeles, Kent State, many times. It's been used about 30 times where the president can send troops in. And I love like Chicago coming up and saying, this is private property owned by the city of Chicago. ICE can't use that. I hate to tell you this, Chicago. The entire country is private property owned by the US government. The rest of us are just renting it. Disagree with me? Go look at property tax. But yeah, I'm kind of speaking words there, but say that. But no, the federal, the supremacy clause of the Constitution has a tendency to say, sorry, putting up a sign saying this is private property does not forbid the federal government from going anywhere. And then finally, of course, if you saw any of this today, Pam Bondi's testimony to the Judicial Oversight Committee today, this is the backbone I wish she'd show with criminals. Because what are we, 9 months in, 9.5 months in right now to Trump's presidency, and so far, the only thing we've seen out of the Department of Justice, the Attorney General's office, is an indictment of Jim Comey. That's it. Nothing else. Yet Pam Bondi embarrassed the crap out of every liberal senator today, calling them out for their hypocrisy, their lack of integrity, et cetera, et cetera. She did a great job. I wish she would start doing that with criminals. Stop worrying so much about how she's going to look at the latest interview she's going to do on Fox News. Her public opinion polls are probably not very good because we all expect to see a lot more out of her, which we're not seeing. But I'm still optimistic that when the dominoes start falling, they're all going to come down crashing, tumbling down. So there you go. There's my thoughts for tonight and what's going on. So, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm a little discombobulated after Rudy. But let's get in the Q&A here. As per normal, if you've got questions for me, please put them all. We're going to talk about tonight. But like I said, don't ask me questions about Rudy. I'm not going to discuss. It's not my place. However, it's a questions in all caps. Only rule as per normal. Treat everybody in here with respect, politely. Not only your viewers, but me. Okay. And we'll go from there. So, all right. Let me get to the top and see the all find, and we'll go from there. Bear with me. Okay, let's see what we can find. Do. Okay, anybody got questions? Yeah, it's quiet around here. Let's ask anything. There we go. Adam Hoffman. Uh, I'm assuming that's ice-free zones in Chicago. So Chicago's not part of the USA anymore. Yeah, it's kind of what I just talked about. Brandon Johnson's, he's the biggest joke of a mayor there is in the country. Like I said, supremacy. You can't make an ice-free zone. It doesn't work that way. I'm sorry, this area of our city is where the law doesn't matter. Wrong. Okay. Yeah. Brandon Johnson better be careful because he's real close with some of the things he's saying to getting arrested himself. Because yesterday he was out, maybe it was this morning, uh, out talking about Civil War. And I mean, this is how idiotic he is. He's like, "Oh, the GOP is trying to redo the Civil War. You know, we had second Civil War because they didn't like the one that how it turned out the first time." I'm thinking to myself, "Dumbass, the GOP, who won the first Civil War? We don't want it. The Democrats lost. May I remind him how the Republican Party was formed in the first place?" It's like, this is how stupid this guy is. He doesn't even know, he knows the difference between North and South and Democrat and Republican. He just doesn't realize that the country's flipped, you know, that most of the Northeast is uber liberal, Chicago is liberal, the rest of it's pretty red. But down south, down here, even liberals, even though they control some of the cities, they're way out down south. All right. Back to basics. Hey, everyone, please keep me in your prayers on surgery in 2 to 3 weeks. All right, Diane. Definitely prayers for you. Hope everything is okay. Do 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 do. Ronald Simmons performing Super Bowl halftime show. Uh, I don't know if they're just trolling with that or what. I mean, the NFL. I stopped watching NFL football. I've told you guys this before with the whole Colin Kaepernick taking a knee crap. I'm like, all right, if you're going to start, forget it. I'm out of here. Okay, don't give me this BLM celebratory stuff. Give me the black national anthem of this country, and it's what everybody want to hear to segregate. So now they come in, they're going to bring this guy who, what did he say? If you want to watch his show, you better learn Spanish. And I get such a kick out of the liberal media. Oh, ICE is going to go to the Super Bowl and they're going to be checking all the people to make sure they're citizens. They're going to be arresting illegals. I'm thinking to myself, how flippin' stupid are you? Have you priced a Super Bowl ticket ever? Okay. Illegals aren't going to pay thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars for a Super Bowl ticket. Right? No, if Bad Bunny shows up, maybe they'll arrest him and kick his scrawny ass out. But I I don't couldn't tell you, and I mean I'd never heard of it. The whole brouhaha Super Bowl deal. I mean, you couldn't miss it in the news. But yeah, I don't see this happening. I mean, he's not going to perform. This has got to be them trolling, saying because the NFL is so freaking woke, it's unbelievable. So it just dumbfounds me that people still, the product on the field is crap, and the if you're a Taylor Swift fan, oh okay, then you watch football. Got it. It's like Shador Sanders. Oh gee, I'm a bench warmer in the news every flipping day. Uh, okay, we shot to the bottom. Hang on. Do 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 do. Where we were. Okay. All right. Jenny asked, "Did I purchase anything during Prime Day?" No, Mrs. P and I are on a strict emergencies only spending plan lately. because we're trying to save to have the well dug for the pond, and that's 5 figures. It's like, okay, any money that as little as we can to spend, basically, it's like food. That's it, and bills. there, there is no, hey, we'd like to get this. No, that's not happening. So now I have not purchased anything during Prime Day. We've even talked. It's like Christmas is going to be quite thin this year. So I'll go box missile Nazarovia to you too. So that's Polish. Okay. Seriously, pinball, getting ready to make food. Is wine yeast better than bread yeast? I know both do the trick, but does wine yeast do it better and more? Uh, Wine yeast will work slightly better. It'll give you a little higher ABV, uh, but bread yeast works fine as well. I use both. It's not a problem. I don't worry about fancy or anything like that. I mean, I've got champagne yeast that I bought a year ago that's in the fridge. That's what got the muscadine wine here. But I've used just regular Fleischmann's bread yeast, and that works fine too. So, yeah, I don't think either. I don't think it makes a difference. I mean, like I said, a little little higher alcohol content, supposedly, out of the champagne or out of the wine yeast, but it ain't gonna make it that much of a difference. Uh, what a story. Pinball, if you could only grow sweet potatoes or regular potatoes, would you? That's a good question. Okay. Sweet potatoes are much healthier. Sweet potatoes, they're very different in that regard. I mean, sweet potatoes actually are in a morning glory family. But for health benefits, sweet potatoes are much, much better, to the point where you could probably call them a superfood. For prepping, uh, in an SHTF situation, sweet potatoes are something I would certainly grow. However, regular white potatoes, okay, whether you got rolls or whatever type of potatoes you grow, are more prolific and more versatile. Okay. Sure, you can make sweet potato fries. Sure, you can make a baked sweet potato like that. But I've never seen in my life somebody make hash browns with their eggs in out of sweet potatoes. I'm saying somebody hasn't done it. I've never seen it. Okay. You can make mashed sweet potatoes and stuff like that. Sure. You're going to have more people that will eat regular potatoes. I'd hope I'm never in a situation where I have one, because in an SHTF situation, you need the nutrition, but you're also going to need the calories. And to get the calories, people got to eat it. Okay? And there are enough people out there who don't think that. It's a really good question, but it's very dependent on who you're growing it. Because again, it's one of those things. I'm not growing okra because I won't eat it. Right? But if everybody else in my mag wants okra, I'm going to grow it. I'm going to grow something else too. Okay. That's it. You need to be growing one. Yeah. Top list. Tracy Knut. What is Rudy's channel? Alaska Prepper. Uh, uh, Liz McKenna, can I talk closer to my mic? I have it cranked and have trouble hearing moving around my kitchen. Thanks. Sorry. I know we get this issue. I've tried so many different microphones and everything like that, and for some reason, the live stream just doesn't want to work well. I I've done what I can. I mean, I think I'm on my fourth different mic that I've tried, with the exception of getting a studio with one of the big mics and stuff like that. I mean, I'm sitting at my kitchen table here, so I, I'm doing the best I can. We talked about that already. Meemaw Prepper, what do you think about the FAA ground stops due to a shortage of air traffic controllers? What was it, Burbank, California? I think it was today that was shut down for about 6 hours because there were no air traffic controllers. I think it was Burbank. It was somewhere in California. Uh, Not that Burbank is a big airport. There was it's John Wayne that Southwest flies into Southern California, right? Because Southwest flies into the secondary type airports like the Atlanta Midway in Chicago, not into O'Hare, stuff like that. I know Southwest doesn't. I don't think flies into LAX. I think they just fly into. I want to say it's but maybe it's Burbank. I don't know. But it is what it is. And I mean, if people want to bitch, especially in California, call up your two Democrat senators and say, get off your ass, go get the government opened again so I can get on my plane to go see grandma or go on my business trip or whatever it is. But, you know, I'm, I, especially when you get into these blue states bitching about this stuff, I have no sympathy because it's your senators, whether you voted for them or not. Okay, I mean, obviously not everybody in California is an idiot liberal, but raise hell with your senators and say, I mean, come on, that kind of shift as a senator. So I mean, you can tell that the some of the Hawaii holds the record for the stupidest people. Okay. I mean, electing Macy Hurwitz just defies logic, but Adam Schiff is pretty damn close. Uh, but no, I don't have any sympathy for him. I mean, I'd be raising hell with the senators. Like, I will either get this stuff fixed or people need to start going, I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure you don't go back when you're up for reelection. Kathy Humphreys, why does Trump not mention what he said about never getting rid of the dollar or we will be done? Uh, I'm not, maybe it's me. I'm not understanding your question. We will be done. I mean, if you're talking about the dollar as the world reserve currency, that he talks about, I don't want to say often, but yeah, I mean, that we're not going, the United States is not going to let the yen or BRICS or whatever it is become the world reserve currency. It's why I think Trump kind of sees crypto out there as something, and whether it turns into US dollar coin or Bitcoin, Tether, or whatever. Eventually, I don't necessarily see it in my lifetime. But I mean, eventually, yeah, you're going to wind up with a strict digital currency just because the world is that stupid. Uh, that's the only way I can put it. Eventually, these globalists will win out, and then everybody's going to be like, "How did this happen? Why are we all poor?" And it's going to like, well, it's what you wanted. You wanted everybody to be equal. So now you're all equally poor. And you know, Big Brother in '84 will be watching, and the people are just going to let it come. It's the old joke: you vote your way into communism, and you have to shoot your way out. It's the same thing with globalism, just not. Uh, American Girl. We need a Pritzker Johnson free zone here in Illinois. Yeah, no kidding. Uh, it, it's going to be interesting because it's Cook County, DuPage County, Kane County, that whole area right up there around the lake. That is the reason Illinois goes blue, and it's going to be interesting to see how that happens here next year with elections, at least the House, because there's a whole lot of support from the people that live in the city for Trump because they're sick of the crime too. And this whole shutdown right now and all the ICE crap and everything is all, maybe it's wishful thinking, but I mean, it's maybe tea leaves, is the kiss of death for Democrats. You know, it's like we want more crime and no help to stop it. And cool, I'll vote for you. And that's I have a feeling next year, if this continues, not that we're going to be a shutdown for a year or anything like that, but any moderate or conservative that's running against any liberal should be just on repeat here. ICE and about this shutdown. You know, don't worry about the abortion issue. That one, that's not, economy, crime, immigration. I would focus on those three, and that is it. And I would beat the Democrats over the head with these actions right now. Krista Cat, how is PBJ doing? I talked to her Thursday. She just finished her fifth mod. So, as I told you, she's got to do rotation. She goes from month to month to month to month and all sorts of different kinds of practices. So, this one she was with an orthopedic surgeon. And so she was giving me all the stories about cutting bones and this sort of, because she's in the surgeries. Okay, way more than I want to experience. Like, do not give me the gruesome details. She's like, man, it's so cool. I'm like, no, I don't want to see bones. You know, in a museum is good. In a hospital bed, forget it. Okay, not my. But so she took her test on Friday. I talked to her since she was heading down the end for the test. And then her next rotation, which she started yesterday, was with an OBGYN. So that one I certainly don't want the gory details either. Just leave it at that. But no, she's doing well. Cannot believe how close she is to being done. And like I told her, I said, by the time I see her for Christmas, which will usually be around New Year's, she'll be literally starting applying for jobs. Graduates in May. Done. She's doing well, still going through here, and I haven't heard any bad news. So no news is good news. But she's busy like crazy because it's not doing all this work. It's studying. She's got to take the test on her boards. Yeah, it'd be amazed how much people have to do to get into the field. Larry, I would still volunteer as a co-op space for this Christmas. We'll gladly do lunch from the freezer too. There you go. Yeah, it's going to be that time though. Yeah, this year I'll have a new one. We'll be able to make muscadine collage. That ought to be. Didn't even think about that. Yeah, because we made a whole bunch of jelly for that. So yeah, we make it's apricot cream cheese. The traditional stuff. Mrs. P primarily maybe helps. But oh, okay, we'll make the stuff out of the jams and jellies we make. She loves them. So yeah, I think I did a video on making those one year. Czech cookies. There's my background being Czech, so uh, cookies I make them for Christmas. Broken Dolly. Sorry, I'm late. I was watching Rudy's video. Apologize. Like I said at the beginning, glad people are going to see what's up because we've all been asking about it. Von Mousetrap, have I seen the Gen Z protests? Uh, unless it's something different than all the Antifa protests and the Gaza protests. I mean, what's the protest of the week? I don't know. It's what are they protesting this time? What we didn't ask to be born again. That's uh, Justin Bennett. How do I feel about tomahawks being shipped to Ukraine? No, no. I mean, first off, you guys know me long enough. I'm sick and tired of funding Ukraine. All right. We're still giving more money than all of Europe combined. I mean, two-thirds of the money going to Ukraine is coming out of Europe, and it's it's ramping up. I mean, y'all remember a couple of years ago, it's like, oh no, we're not sending tanks. We're send tanks. Oh no, we're not sending planes. We'll send planes. Oh no, we're not sending missiles. We're sending missiles. Now we're sending tomahawks. This is long range stuff, guys. Okay. And I mean, for all the time that we're hearing, oh no, we're not sending troops, your track record pretty much sucked for everything you're telling us what you're not going to send. And 6 months later, you're saying, no. I mean, this war ends really, really fast when the US says, screw you, we're done, no more American product used whatsoever. And before somebody says, yeah, just because Germany buys it and gives it to Ukraine, Ukraine can't use it without our permission, even if somebody else bought it. Okay. Uh, a lot of this stuff still needs to be manned and guided. The computer systems, the classification, you know, they may have it on the ground, but we still have to be the one that programs it to do whatever. We need to cut Ukraine off at the knees. And if they go, but Russia will take over all this, fine. If you can protect your own country, you don't deserve to be a country. And when somebody says, gee, how can you say that? Go look at a map of Europe from 1900 to 2025 and take a look at how many times borders have changed, country names have changed. You know, I mean, please show me on a map today where the Ottoman Empire exists, or Yugoslavia exists, or Czechoslovakia exists. They don't, okay? Because something happened and the country got split or whatever. Guess what? If Ukraine can't protect their own borders, they don't deserve to be a country. I'm sorry, tough shit. Okay. But I'm sick of us giving this little dwarf. Back to these to this top is okay. Still looking. There we go. All right. Brian Beckus, Pinball, do you think maybe Schumer is doing this not necessarily for himself, but because he fears the extreme left AOC dynamic and is trying to disrupt that progression? I talked about that a few days ago that, you got to remember Schumer got bludgeoned by the Democrat Party in the spring last time they passed and the whole party turned. We know AOC's got her sights either on Schumer's seat or the presidency, one of the two. The presidency's such a joke. I mean, if she thinks she's going to win anything outside of New York, she's hired a kite. But I mean, Yeah. Let's go from a billionaire to a bartender. No offense to bartenders, but yeah, AOC. I mean, please tell me, let her run on her accomplishments. You know, gee, I built a big Twitter following. Congratulations. Be like me saying, hey, gee, you know what? I'm going to run for president. Look at my qualifications, and I think a little bit more intelligent than AOC, but accomplishments in politics either. So yeah, I think part of it is he fears the extreme left, but that is the kiss of death for the Democrat Party because if they allow themselves to get hijacked by the AOC Bernie Sanders wing, the people, the voters are already saying we don't like this. Now, granted, there's some that are in New York City, Zoran Montgomery, okay, but you're not going to get the communist sympathizers vote in most cities. You know, gee, Donnie's going to win New York City. Great. You think you're going to do that, Dallas? Or, I mean, again, we're talking about blue cities, but pick some of this. You think San Diego's going to go? Yeah, okay, we'll go communist. Even Los Angeles might say no. We'll see what happens. Uh, yeah, I think it's the pressure that he's getting from the left and the pressure that he's getting from the party itself that we just have to be against anything that Donald Trump does. And again, like I said, if Trump cured cancer, they do it. Oh my God, no, you can't do that. Kathleen Maddox, what do I think of Marsha Blackburn being governor of Tennessee? Tim Burchett wants to run for Senate. He's awesome. Why don't you mention that? Because Mrs. P and I were talking about that today, and I've said it before. I think Marsha Blackburn will be. I mean, it's not like she's not going to win. Uh, an awesome governor for Tennessee. I'd like to see Tim Burchett run for Senate. And Mrs. P is asking today. She goes, "If Burchett runs, would you run for his congressional seat?" And I'm like, thinking about it. So uh, it would be interesting to see what happens, but not like I have any name recognition or whatever. But I haven't heard Burchett announce he's running for Senate yet. So, yeah, Burchett would be. I 100% love Marsha Blackburn as my senator. Love Tim Burchett as my representative. Uh, names now I can't think of who my other senator is. Bill Hagerty. I don't hear enough out of Bill Hagerty. I mean, really have too much of a. So he's more of one of the quiet ones. But yeah, if you're on Twitter and you don't follow Tim Burchett, you're missing out because his tongue is as sharp as a razor blade. That's hilarious when people try to dog on him because he just gives it right back to him, and he's kind of like a John Kennedy from Louisiana, somewhat, but with that very southern, bless your heart type tone. Von Mousetrap, have I seen the Gen Z protests in Morocco? Okay. Yeah. And because what were they trying to do? They were trying to shut down social media or something like that there. Uh, the Zoomers are all screaming bloody murder. It's not like Morocco's a big player for world events or anything like that, but you're starting to see a lot of the totalitarianism be rejected by the people. I mean, look, you just had Japan elect the conservative prime minister, the third French Government just fell today. The third leftist government fell today in 12 months. Uh, so they can't even keep a government running over there because people are fed up with this leftism, this globalism crap. Because again, it makes everybody poor. And as I told you guys in a video the other day, the poorest state in the country, Mississippi, the average income is higher than every country in Europe with the exception of Germany. You know, so if you think we're poor, go move to Europe. You know, that's it. And yeah, you understand why these people are raised because they're much further down the socialist path than we are, and they're already seeing how it's a disaster. And as I've said for years now on this channel, yeah, because tomorrow will be 5 years daily videos on this channel, in case you wonder. I haven't missed any of them. But as I've said since the beginning, watch what happens in Europe because that's what's coming here. And you can already see how Sweden's falling, Britain's falling, Germany's falling, France is falling. You know, why? Because of globalism and Islamism. We're trying to let both of them in the United States, and we have to stop both. Captain Humphreys talked dollar. Seriously, thoughts on the Washington Post article on Yahoo yesterday regarding Social Security and the changes coming from Trump. I did not see the article, so I can't really say anything about it. But there's a good reason why the Washington Post is known as the Washington Post. I wouldn't. I mean, when you're talking Washington Post and Yahoo, you're talking a couple of the least reliable news news outlets out there. So unless I saw it from something that was a little bit more credible, I take that more as editorial than news, whatever they say. Uh, Jason Jester, what do I think of? I'm assuming this is English news. Depends on where you're reading it. I'm sure you've got all the tabloids and stuff like that. I could care less what the Sun talks about or something like that. But you still do get decent reporting. I mean, BBC is kind of started to tilt liberal. Sky News is still a decent source. The Independent, depending on what you're finding out, that still seems to be a decent source. Uh, but again, you got you got to read the stories and you got to be able to separate the news, editorial from the bias, and you know that's difficult anywhere. Again, news is supposed to be just the facts, man, just facts. The editorial section is supposed to be somebody's opinion, and someone in the last 30 years, media has forgotten that. Hey, everything has to be editorial. But that's that's all part of the conditioning because they don't want people to think for themselves. And unfortunately, the sheep in this country are going, tell me what I'm supposed to think. That way I don't have to put any effort in. And that's just what we're at. It's no different than the colleges, the high schools, everywhere. It's like if we indoctrinate these people and just make them stupid, stupid people are easier to control. Do not think that this is just a new thing. This has been going on for 50, 60 years, basically since LBJ. Uh, T-Bone, do I think it would be wise to have a slingshot and or night vision? It's good to have in preps. I have them both. I've got a slingshot, a good one, and that knows how many, we'll just call them ball bearings, okay, which is fun to play with. Just go out there and get an old pallet and it's fun to play with that. Make sure there's you put it up in the woods. And night vision, I've got an older generation night vision, still black and white. uh, that I've had for a few years. It's worthwhile, but it would not be something that would be high on my priority list at all. The slingshot is relatively cheap. You get a good one for under $50. You're not going to use it for home defense, but a slingshot would be good for hunting small game if you're good at it. It would be good for very silent defense, uh, and you can make decent traps out of a slingshot too. Uh, so, yeah, slingshot certainly night vision if you're desperate for something else. Not going to be one of the most important things. Uh, Donald Armentor. For those that followed Ice Age Farmer, he is back as Unshadowed. Okay, yeah, I was gonna say Ice Age Farmer's another one we haven't heard from in forever. Well, he he's got, or at least used to have, really really good info. Uh, okay, Cheryl Lynn, can I compost end of season tomato leaves that look diseased? If they look diseased, I would not. Uh, because then you're just going to introduce that disease to the compost pile. I know you listen to David the Good who says compost everything. Uh, if the plant looks diseased, I would not, because you know you're going to get the compost pile hot on the inside, which should kill the disease. It's not going to be hot on the outside, and unless you get that thing totally turned perfectly, you're going to introduce disease. I guess you could, but I wouldn't risk it. Uh, Jay Tharp, to everyone in the chat and Mr. P, please tell everyone you know he's a patriot. Next Tuesday, October 14th, please wear something red for Charlie Kirk's angel birthday. I hadn't heard that. Here's a good idea. I like. Okay. William Falk. How do you cure sweet potatoes? First year growing, not sure how to cure. Basically, just like you're going to cure regular potatoes, just put them out. If you watch the channel long enough, you know the table I built with hardware cloth and stuff like that, my drying rack. Okay. But let them sit for 10 days, 2 weeks, whatever, for that skin to toughen up. And then you can store them as is. If you're going to can them, you don't even need to cure them. You can just peel them. I mean, when you peel them, I parboil them and take the skin off. That way, it's a lot easier than using a potato peeler, unless you got nicely potatoes. Uh, you get the goofy ones. Like I said, I had one that looked like a head. All sorts of controversy. You lose too much potato by trying to peel it. If you're going to can it, you can peel it and cut it right away. It'll be easier when they're fresh. But if you want to store them as whole potatoes in root cellar or something like that, let them cure uh, where they get air circulation all the way nice and dry. I mean, under a fan, a ceiling fan or something like that is what I set up for me, and it works perfect. Kip Russell, if they will use earbud, they will not have a problem hearing you. I have bad hearing, and then I can hear you fine with earbuds. Okay. And again, guys, I've tried everything and there is about the volume. I Vicky Savage, in my opinion, if the federal government is shut down, then congressmen and senators should have their pay stopped until it reopens with no back pay. You're not going to hear any complaints out of, I think, anybody except for Congress. Uh, it's, it's amazing how everything stops, but they, the No other federal worker can get paid, but they can't. The Army can get paid, they can. But then on the other side of the fence, you look at this way. Anybody that thinks that Congress makes most of their money from their paycheck hasn't paid attention to how many millionaires there are in Congress. You know, and gee, I'm sorry, the $170,000 a year that they make. Oh, DC is not a cheap place to live, and most of them have a home back home too. So, paying for two households on $170,000 a year, that's somehow you still manage to have tens of millions of dollars. Not thinking you're doing it off of your salary. Ta-da-ta-ta. Krista Cat, I'm really worried about Virginia. Thoughts, though it's been said recently, Sears is pulling ahead. Okay, great. Now we know it. Winsome Sears is pulling ahead. Do you think she has a chance? Yes, I do. I think she's probably going to win because Virginia is getting sloppier and sloppier and sloppier. And she's coming out with who's it, John Jay thing, Abigail Spanbarger thing, and Winsome Sears. It's coming. Why is it that everybody else has all these problems and I don't? Maybe you want to elect the person that's not corrupt, you know. Uh, so I think Virginia is going to be close to flipping red. Honestly, I think if there's any blue state that's closest, it would be Virginia and Jersey. I know those sound really weird, uh, but I think those are the ones that have the best chance to flip red. Well, it gets a lot. Your eyes are getting tired when everything starts to get a little blurry. Okay, I have to do it this way. Okay, trying to find where I was again. Okay. Jimbowski. Do you feel we will see some sort of balkanization of the United States, or will they keep everyone in line by any means necessary? Give me a time frame. Uh, I've said now for a couple of years. I think, personal opinion, I think we are too far gone. Balkanization is almost a necessity at this point because we've now had again a couple of generations that have been indoctrinated into this liberalism crap, and they're not going to change for anything. Then you have 75, 80 million people in this country of voting age who actually have a brain and use it. Go, gee, you know what? Maybe I'm going to question what CNN tells me, what my professor tells me. Uh, I don't, I don't think we're going to be able to live together. I do think this pains me to say, I do think that eventually we do wind up in a shooting war, red versus blue. Uh, and how that plays out, I have no idea. But we're getting closer and closer and closer every day. And people are getting more and more violent every day. And eventually there's going to be one of those that's the last straw. I mean, Charlie Kirk was bad. Like I said the other day, the ICE agent shooting at the woman, albeit pulled out uh, a rifle on the ICE agents, that could have gone real south real fast. But when you get into a situation where you have gunfights in the city on a street somewhere, that's coming. Patty's Garden, Pinball. I need a remote security camera for an area with no Wi-Fi. It's out in the country, my hideaway. What can I get? I will use solar. I just don't know where to start. I'd look at trail cams. That would be the best thing you do. I mean, obviously, you're not going to be able to watch it from your living room on your phone or something like that. That's not going to happen. Uh, but if to record whatever is going on out there, making sure that you've got evidence later on down the road, a trail cam would work. But I mean, if you don't have Wi-Fi, uh, that's about the only thing. I mean, unless you're going to wire cameras to a monitor or something in the house, I mean, which is supposed to be, but you're still not going to be monitored remotely. Do. What time is it? What's 8:56? Okay, caveman look. To all here, please remember October 23rd, 1983. We lost more Marines on that day in history fighting World War II. And I'm sorry, I don't remember what happened that day. Uh, so Von Mousetrap, did Mrs. P teach you Russian? Did she know English when y'all met? Uh, I know a few words in Russian. I mean, I can pick up some from some. There aren't many similar between Russian and Czech, so I can pick up some. I can't understand her in a conversation. Uh, I know some very basics. I mean, I couldn't even ask somebody where the bathroom is. But yes, she did English before when we met, uh, and like most people, she learned English from watching American television, American movies. That was it. So, and she did took classes and stuff like that too. But yeah, she knew English before I met her, and no, I don't probably know a dozen words in Russian. That's it. Kathleen Maddox. I was at a meeting with Burkett. He said he wants to be in the Senate. And I get it. And I don't see why he wouldn't. I mean, he's got to announce and then go from there. So we'll see how that all plays out. I think he'd be a great senator. Linda Yergin, what are my thoughts on gold over 4,000? At least on the ad, got over 4,000 today. I know it closed somewhere around 39.90. Uh, Gold's not been running, not by a long shot. I mean, there was some, I forget what warehouse came up this morning and said they expect 4,900 by the end of. I think that's a little optimistic. I think we're going to see 25% growth in gold in 3 months. Uh, but yeah, the only thing I will mention, if you said silver's been on a run too, silver's pushing 50, around 49 at this. Watch the gold to silver ratio. I know I've told you guys about this quite a bit. It's like at 81 and a half. So we're starting to get the prices are starting to balance out here. So silver's still a little on the. Uh, it wouldn't surprise me to see silver over 50 by the end of this month, easy. Uh, Kathleen Maddox, get your campaign ready. Contact Jim Burchett. He's interested in like minds being involved. Their meeting was ETC, East Tennessee Conservatives. Yeah. Uh, Fastball with gold and silver skyrocketing. Do I see the dollar collapsing? Not this will be the last one. Not yet. The dollar's actually been holding in pretty strong because you're seeing other currencies around the world getting weaker and weaker. Like the yen got weaker this week and last week. Uh, So the dollar is still holding 98 range on the dollar index. I pay attention to that. I haven't seen anything to say the dollar is going to collapse. I Trust me, it's not going to happen overnight. We're not going to wake up one morning and this isn't going to be Venezuela where all of a sudden, or Russia or something, where all of a sudden the dollar got cut in half. We'll start seeing inflation take off, and then we'll worry about the dollar collapsing. So that was it. Not yet. Uh, Eventually, not yet. All right, guys, that's 9 o'clock. Go check out Alaska Prepper. What's going on there? Say a prayer for Rudy. I'll have a good evening. See you tomorrow.